Hi, welcome to Bad Music Taste and Other Ways to Ruin Your Life. My name is Dominic.
And my name is Sam. Dominic has a record this week.
This week's record is the Pork Rind Disco EP by the Chicharrones. This record was first released in 2005, and the copy I have here is a first pressing on black vinyl. But anyways, today we're talking to J.R. Wasilewski of Less Than Jake and Spring Heeled Jack. How's it going, J.R.?
It's pretty good. I'm constantly impressed with your pronunciation of my name because I have grown adults that can't get it. And I mean, phonetically, if you just sound it out, it's spelled like it sounded. But, I just want to tell you how impressed I am with your ability because you did it the first time we talked. You said my last name correct as well. And that's impressive to me. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
This is the first time we've had a guest on a second time. So.
I love it. I love being I was actually going to ask if I was your first double guest. So I feel like we've come to know each other. We're friends now, so we can be honest with each other. This is good.
First guest, and then first, I was gonna say first second interview, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Guest, and I'm now your first friend too. We're friends now, like I said. So.
But less than Jake just released a new record, and we seem to ask this with every person with a new record out. So how has your experience been releasing a record during COVID?
That's a really interesting question just because I've had it phrased to me differently. We've done a lot of interviews, and so I've had that phrased to me in a lot of different ways. Like one guy said, "Oh, did you plan it this way?" One other lady maybe said something along the lines of, "What were the challenges?" So when you're presented with a situation that hasn't existed in 100 years, put it into modern times, and then say, okay, now operate your business. I think it's a challenge to any business owner, So for a dude in a band, we had a plan, and then that plan just got wiped out. We were supposed to release this record in the summertime. That was the ultimate goal. Like it was ready. We were kind of on track for that. And then, global pandemic. And we had a conversation with the label sometime in the spring. I remember because I was outside in my backyard talking, and the conversation was, why, what does it matter if Less Than Jake puts out a record in 2020? And my thought was, it's very important that we put out a record in 2020 because I can't sit on a record we recorded in 2019 till 2021. There's so many numbers, it makes me crazy, And so I was like, it needs to come out this year. It needs to 2020. It needs to happen, And so that was the fight. And one deadline passed, another deadline passed. Next thing you know, the release date is December, and it's hard to be. Usually a fourth quarter release in a sense isn't the best thing unless it's like a Christmas record, but you play with the hand that you're dealt. And I think we did pretty good. I think the plan came together pretty good. I think people know about the record. People have heard it, I hope, but it's still, it's the record to me and to the other four guys in the band, it's a year old. To everybody else, it's like a week old. So like for us, it's like, we want to write new songs, like, okay, whatever. But to everybody else, they're just starting to get into it. So it's, how do I equate it? For me, it's like I've already run the marathon and I've come back to the starting line, and now I'm gonna be like, come on, everybody, let's run it again. I'll show you where all these things go, excited, but it was a long process to get here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's like many challenges along with it, but it already being a year old for you guys is probably worse.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you were kind of sitting on it, and like that new record is kind of feeling like it's just drifted away at that point, and then everybody else is like super hyped about it.
Yeah, we're just happy that it came out. So that's where I'm at with it. That's where I leave it. I'm very happy that it's out, and it's in the world now, and I don't have to stop not telling people about it or showing people, because for a while, we didn't talk about it too much because you really only have that one opportunity to make a first impression, so happy to talk about it.
So Less Than Jake recently released a new song called Bill, about Bill Stevenson. So what made you guys want to dedicate a song on the record to him besides paying homage?
Bill Stevenson is a incredible human being. And if you've ever met him once or you've spoken to him once, it's one of those things you don't forget. He's very quirky. And he's also one of the greatest musical minds ever, and for a guy who's played in Black Flag, Descendants, a couple other bands that I'm forgetting at the moment right now. But the guy's just a cool guy, and I think the idea started getting that we wanted to write a song about we have historically written songs about friends of ours. Cheese was one. Doug, How's My Driving, Doug Hastings, people that we know and stuff. So, but the idea was to write a song about Bill specifically. And, I remember Chris had brought the idea and he had like a lyric idea. So him and I kind of worked on it and got it into a point where it made sense, as a song. And, but I thought the idea was good, and then after Raj got on it and Buddy got on it a little bit, and it became this thing, and we knew what we wanted to say, and we knew we wanted it to be a little bit descendancy at points, so everything is very intentional. It just, like the lyric says, man, like, why wait to honor someone when they're gone? Like, he's here. We should celebrate Bill Stevenson for being Bill Stevenson, and we got word back actually from him not that long ago. He was really humbled by it. And, I think it's cool. We weren't trying to like call him out, be like, yeah, but it's
You're
just
the
like,
best.
yeah, it's just kind of like we were going to write a song about a friend of ours, and Bill was the one that we want. That it ended up being Bill. Like, we can change it to, I don't know, Mike, and say it's about Fat Mike for the next record, I guess, if we want. Or Greg, and make it about Greg Graffin. Or Brian, make it about Brian Baker. Or Laura, make it about Laura Jane Grace. We could do that, maybe.
Yeah.
She might hate it, though.
Brian Baker is I think one of the 3 people to say no.
Oh, he said no.
He said no.
Oh, well, Brian's he's a good friend of mine, and I don't speak for him at all, but he's older dude, and he makes up his mind about certain things, and maybe he just didn't feel it was the right move for him. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's probably old enough to be your grandfather, and I don't mean that like a weird way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might freak him out that you know so much about him too. So, but he's a good guy.
I met him one time in Asbury Park. He was walking down the boardwalk and he had this big name tag on that said Baker.
Yeah. He lives down there, I think. He's in that area, I think, now. He's good, such a good guy and such a great guitar player, I don't need to turn it about Brian Baker, especially when he said no to your interview, but I'll talk to him. I'll say that you should.
We don't hold a grudge. It's fine.
I know, that's good. That's being a professional. That's good stuff.
Yeah. But like you brought up, like, you never forget talking to Bill Stevenson and like meeting him. We got him on the podcast like a couple months ago, and that was just insane. Like,
oh, wow.
It was crazy. Like, I had watched Filmage like earlier that same day too. So then I got in the interview and I was like, wow. I was just like, wow. Like, it was very crazy experience, and yeah, I'm sure Dom can vouch. He was I guess, say quirky, but it was cool.
Yeah, it was I emailed him like that Saturday night. I didn't hear from him on Sunday. And then I woke up to an email from him on Monday, and he was like, "Yeah, I can do later today. That guys, that work for you guys?" And I was sure. Yeah. And
yeah, why not?
Yeah. And he started talking about like his like I guess, portrayal in filmage, and he
Right.
was like, yeah, they talked about me too much. It's a documentary about your band.
Right.
Yeah, Bill's an interesting character, like he's an interesting guy, and he understands like that the sum is equal to the parts, especially when it comes to a band. And so he probably feels like they focus too much on him and not enough on, say, Carl or Stefan or
Yeah.
Milo or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, and so that's just his humility. And so that's, fun. And it's
Yeah.
also probably him just being funny.
Yeah, and then
Bill's.
then he was like, I guess it's a dramatic story.
Yeah.
Filming,
But
man. Yeah, it is a dramatic story. It's
it
good.
was just crazy. But that interview was great though.
That's good.
But moving on from that, Less Than Jake you guys just did a live stream for Silver Linings. So what went into the live stream?
Way more work than we had probably anticipated there being. How do you go from being a live band that just performs on stage to creating something that runs more like a television show, And so we had to learn a lot of things about production, and we certainly learned a lot doing it. And it won't be the last one that we do, but that's until we can get back out on tour and stuff, that seems like a fun and different way to be able to present certain things. So we'll see, but what went into it was a lot more work than probably we had anticipated. But that's kind of how we are as a band. We always try to like overperform and overachieve, and so we just end up getting right to the baseline. So if you shoot high, then you'll get right to where it's supposed to be, I guess. For you in life.
You guys did like the cutaways, like the Crazy Bobby and stuff like that. So what was it live? Because I was wondering.
No, all that stuff was pre-recorded, and it was pre-recorded. Like it's like anything else that you do. Like if you go and you watch Jimmy Kimmel Live, right? Jimmy Kimmel Live tapes it at 1:00 in the afternoon, and then it's live at 11 o'clock. But there's editing that has to happen, and but it all happens and is filmed live in front of an audience. So we filmed everything live, and then it was edited together. Like the scenes that you saw of any of the clips and stuff like that, or the commercials, that was all shot, over time, over the course of time. So like I said, there was a lot of extra added stuff that was involved, that I don't know if other bands do it. Every Time I Die is doing one very soon, and I'm very interested to see how theirs is, because those guys are funny, and I saw like some commercial for their online show, and it looks like it's going to be rad. So I may have to watch that one. And I don't normally watch any online performances. I've enjoyed the moratorium of no concerts in 2020, to be perfectly blunt, but that's just me, because I go to a lot of them, so it's just been nice to not go for a little bit. So
yeah, I mean, last weekend there were like tons of live streams. Like Bad Religion was doing one, Bouncing Souls and the Gimme Gimmes. So it was like all in one day.
yeah, it was like a big Warped Tour type thing, and I don't think it was done on purpose. It's just when it happened. And but like I said, overall I was happy with how everything came out. After when I watched it all afterwards, like sat down and watched it, and I was like, oh, this came out pretty good. It sounds pretty good. It's pretty funny-ish, And I guess it's up to people to decide if they liked it or not. You know what I mean? It's not really, we all liked it. We all laughed when we were doing it. So we just figure other people are ridiculous. And then, there was a moment during the contortionist thing that I thought to myself, I wonder what people are thinking right now. Just why is there a contortionist happening right now?
Yeah,
Why not?
beforehand I was like Less Than Jake shows have a lot of like banter in between songs. So I was like, what are they gonna do there? And it was like car dealerships. Yeah, it makes sense.
Hey, you got to go with your strengths, Crazy Bobby. He had that haircut. He had that hair grow, and we had to do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as your point goes with like being okay with a break from shows, I'm kind of in between because like as much as I'm thinking now, like I probably shouldn't have been going to like large gatherings like that during flu season to begin with, like before pandemic. So I'm kind of rethinking everything, but I definitely miss live music and like being there and meeting new people. I like miss that aspect.
Hey, man, everybody does. You know what I mean? Like, I do
Yeah.
miss performing. It was cool to perform, like play, but was not being a show. It was not a show. You know what I mean? It was us playing for the camera people, and it was fun. It certainly was fun, and we'll get back there. We'll get back to the. I said it to a friend of mine. I'm like, people will be back to being assholes before you know it, And I think that you're going to see a lot more people wearing masks at shows. I think it's going to be a thing that isn't like a weird concept. I think it's just if nothing else comes out of this whole thing, I hope that it starts like people come out of it maybe understanding, maybe not now because there's a lot of stupidity out there, but I think if you come away with anything, it's that humans caring enough about other human beings to make these little sacrifices and inconveniences in their life, that is kind of what this is supposed to be about, but people take it very internally and they go, poor me, why can't I, like I'm going to be one of the last people to go back to work, like actually doing my job, what I do, and I'm not complaining about it. There's not a complaint coming out of my mouth. I'm happy to be the last person to go back to work. If I'm going back to work, that means that vaccine works and that people are confident enough and that they're ready to go back to being normal, whatever that was, But I'll just keep wearing a mask and I'll hang out at home and shovel some snow and it'll be cool. Everything will be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think
a couple more online shows probably just to get my yayas out,
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like I feel like the beginning of this was really like just showing true sides of people, whether there was those kind of ignorant people that are like, oh well, I'm not wearing a mask, I don't care, it doesn't affect me, like I'm younger, it won't affect me, and it's like okay, but like think about the other people, and like you're not immune to it just because you're younger, like just because it wouldn't affect your immune system horribly doesn't mean you should take that risk, you know what I mean? So I know definitely like even Dom and I've seen like people like in our age group that just didn't really take it seriously at all, and that just kind of saddens me, because there's people out there that just don't care and still aren't. So I think that was the upsetting part.
Yeah, well, you can't fix everybody. That's the problem. And so I've always tried to live the best that I can and treat other people the best that I can. And that really is all that you can do too. And if you two do that in your life, if you live the best way that you can and you help other people and you treat other people well, you're making the world a better place. You're doing much more than many other people in the world do. So good for you. Good for you for, feeling like your friends are being idiots for not caring. And that's totally cool. That's, I feel any friends of mine that I have that don't care, I tell them that they're idiots a lot. They might hate me for it. But I don't care. It just is what it is.
The last day of school back in March, they like kids were wearing masks in the halls and they were like yelling at them because they were like, you're being obnoxious, take it off. So and that's just like crazy seeing everything now.
Yeah, I would say that was just weird for so many reasons. Like, first of all, well, I mean, if you're lucky that they're here at all, you know what I mean? Second of all, it's just kind of like well, so what if they did anyway? Even like if coronavirus hadn't, happened and had such a huge
Yeah.
impact. Like, either way, if it's not affecting you and they're just doing it for their own safety, I feel like there's no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think at the time too, everything changed so quickly, and like information was becoming more available because they were fighting something or trying to battle against something that they don't know. And like 10 years from now, everybody's going to look back on it and they're going to be like, remember whenever we hoarded all the toilet paper? What was that about? There'll be
Yeah.
like societal things that you'll look back on and people will question why things were like they were, like it's always tragedies and stuff of the same nature. They tend to show a lot of weird cultural things. So that's why I said don't get too crazy about people and their masks, because the mask thing isn't going away. Everybody's gonna be like, oh yeah, we're gonna just shoot the thing in the arm and party, right? No. This mask thing is going to be for a while. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm probably going to be doing it for the rest of my life at this point, at least when I travel and stuff like that. I can't envision myself traveling without one anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just seems like a smart thing to do. Seems like self-preservation, and I've toured through every pandemic we've had, including this one, so this one's been the worst, though, I will say. It got everybody. It got the U.S. When it gets into the U.S., that's the, H1N1, SARS, all that stuff, never really got here.
Yeah, and like Australia and like New Zealand, like it's all fine now. Like they're all like walking shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, once it goes, it's when it runs its course and people go away, it'll go away, like. But in the United States, sometimes I think people have a little too much freedom,
Yeah.
and that's I know there's gonna be people that disagree with me there, and that's fine. Totally, that's your right. As an American, we all say the same Pledge of Allegiance to the same flag, and so I just think that when I hear people say, I'm smart enough to do my own research, that scares me, terrifies me, because I don't think that they are a lot of times, so. But can't fix everybody, right? Just fix yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like, define research, because Facebook comments on the shitter are not research. That's not research.
I guess it can be considered research by some, but no, I don't think that that's research.
Yeah. So, kind of going back to what we were talking about with the live stream, I know you kind of mentioned you wanted to do more, but would you say you'd look forward to more of these COVID-safe performances? I mean, even like drive-in shows were an option for a while. So, would you say like you guys were looking at a few, or?
The drive-in thing was always kind of weird to me. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, thanks. It just seems like, I don't know, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, so to speak. It just seemed really stale. I mean, it's stale enough playing into an empty studio to cameras, but at least that the end result is something that's like, you'll get to more people that way, I suppose, than like doing the drive-in shows. Just, I mean, I think I don't shit on anybody's ideas during this time, right? I don't disagree with anybody's ideas of how they were going to get performances to people or whatever. The only thing I disagreed with was people that actually just went and like did that Sturgis rally and all that. The people that were just complete deniers and that stuff. Just like you're not a musician. You're not even on the same planet as everybody else. So, but as far as like. I don't know. It just seemed like it'd be the pop shows just looked weird, and the drive-in things.
I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, to each his own. Like if you think your band that's like your thing and that would work, then cool.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily an idea that would work for everybody, especially because like at a lot of shows, I think some of the best are going to see a band you don't really know that well and kind of getting a feeling for it. So I feel like that aspect is really taken away. Because like I know personally, I wouldn't go to a drive-in show unless I really liked that band. Like I really
Yeah,
wanted
me
to see
either.
them. And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
think a ton of huge performances were happening because how many cars can you fit in a lot too? I mean,
I would be terrified for one of our shows that people would start a circle with the cars. I'm terrified. And they'd be too drunk in their cars, like drunk car drinking. Like that's just a bad scene for us. Like, but the home show is good because people can just sit on their couches and
And drink as much as they want.
get hammered, shit hammered, and then pass out in your bed or on the couch or whatever. And then like that was great. To us that made more sense for us, to do something like that. Some people, they want to go do the car shows or whatever. That's awesome. Like I said, I would never shit on anybody's ideas of trying to what they're doing during COVID. I don't, when it comes to that kind of stuff, do your thing. I think it's inventive. It's made people become inventive, so.
yeah, I think so too. I mean, like this situation has made me personally become like more creative in every field, I don't think we say this all the time, but it's just true. I don't think Dom and I would have started the podcast if it wasn't for coronavirus. We probably wouldn't have had the time, So I think there are definitely a lot of great things that came out of this. But I also think it, whatever normal is, it won't be what normal was before. Because like you said, masks are probably still going to be implemented. And I mean, I think that's fine. Like there's no problem with protecting yourself and everything. I just think, I know personally, I'm going to be a lot more cautious just in general. Like we have a super populated school where we go, like of course we're virtual now, but
like 2,000 kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not including teachers, whatever, and it's middle school, like that's crazy. So I just guess I'm thinking like, flu season, maybe be a little more safe in school, like it's just it's crazy. It's
maybe you'll wash your hands, maybe you'll wash your hands more frequently, maybe you'll be carrying hand sanitizer. It's the thing that always is weird to me too. I think it's more of a thing that needs to be taken up as with us as a society is people's inability to take a sick day when they're actually sick and they have to go to work or they have to go to school or whatever. Like that is a mindset. Like my family does that shit. Like my mom does it. My dad used to do it. My brother does it. I do not. If I'm sick, I stay home. I have no problem. Like I don't find that as a sign of being lazy or anything like that. I find that as a sign of being respectful to your other human beings, like because you can infect them and then everybody gets sick and then you ruin it, And so I think, you just have a lot of people that live under this old guise that it's a sign of strength to work through illness. No, it's just, you're stupid. That's how you infect people. That's why we're like how we are right now, And so that's where the disconnect is with a lot of people. They're like, oh, I've been doing this for as long as I've been alive. Well, in your lifetime, there's never been something that could kill you, like 300,000 deaths. That's as many people that died in World War II in the United States. Do you know what I mean? So if any of those, patriots need to understand what this is, and it's just like it's a 9/11 every day. Like 2,000 people, 3,000 people die every day in this country because of it. And like people just don't want to believe it. So believe it. You don't have to.
I know.
I guess that's your
like people say it's a hoax and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, like the flu kills a bunch of people a year, but the vaccine, it prevents that. Like you get the vaccine, you have less likely, a chance to get sick. So it's like, I just don't understand how it isn't processing with people. Like, it's an illness. It can kill you.
Well, it doesn't matter because people, like I said, even talking about it now, people will just fast forward through the parts that they don't want to hear. And they'll listen to the things that align with their feelings and because that's really all humans do is they base everything that they, their decisions are based on their feelings. We're emotional creatures, so if something makes you feel, that makes me feel shitty, you're not going to support something that makes you feel bad. That's why I don't like yell at I don't yell at people in general, but I don't yell at people that don't have the same opinions as me. You know, I try to discuss and talk and learn because we can learn from each other. You know, life is about learning and growing as a person, you know, you would think. And so I think people that have weird takes on things or science denying type things, I want to engage with people like that, but I don't want to yell. I don't want to scream. If they start yelling and screaming, then the conversation's over, because I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. I'm asking you a question because I want an answer. I want to learn why you think the way that you do. And if you think that me asking a question is something that triggers you into, you know, freaking out, then that says more to you than it does to me about what I'm at, you know, because like, why are you fighting so hard over something that really, you know, seems like you could grow and learn from this experience, but some people just don't like that. It makes them feel icky, like
Yeah,
going to
I mean,
school or something. I just don't.
I
I'm in
I think
constant amazement with other people, just
yeah.
constant.
Yeah.
I think it goes across the board for that. Like that can be in multiple situations or topics, because sometimes people just put up this wall of defense and they're not willing to discuss their opinions. They're just like, no, I'm right and
Yeah,
you're
like
wrong.
they don't give reasons to their
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So I was
it's like when I was a kid, my father would tell me something. He'd be like, "Don't do whatever," and I'd say, "Why?" And his response would be, "Because I said so." I'm like, "That's not an answer. You know, that's
right.
not an acceptable answer. That is not an acceptable answer. I don't care how old you are, what, you know, your position in life is, whether you're a father, you're a son, you're a mother, you're a daughter. You should have the respect to the other person that you explain why things are like they are, you know, and take that time to explain. Just spit on it and move away from it, because that's when people get mad and that's when people get disenfranchised, and you know, that's not the way to deal with other people, you know. And I tell you, man, the patience that is needed for some people is, it doesn't exist. You know, there are just some people that walk away. It's easier to just walk away than to even waste your breath of time. I find myself on Twitter blocking complete strangers because I just don't want to see it. I don't want to even hear it. See it. I don't ever want to see it again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've been talking about coronavirus a lot, but I definitely think, as far as to bring the topics together, I think music has really been a huge part of keeping people sane right now. Not only in working, but in, listening and enjoying and playing and just creating. Like I was talking about creativity, this has been a great outlet for people. So I think, music is really cool like that. It can travel through multiple times and like things people go through. I think that's cool.
Yeah, the best uh comments stuff that I've gotten through this whole thing is, you know, people who message me on whatever thing, platform, email, whatever, and just say, you know, your guys' music has really gotten me through this weird period and like helped me, you know, like through some down times. And especially like the new record, and you know, I got a lot of messages. People are like, really, we needed this, I needed this. And you know, that's very humbling, and really why we keep doing what we do. Why, you know, why do we keep going through this exercise of creating new music, you know, when we're what a lot of people consider to be a legacy act, and we're supposed to just, you know, play All My Best Friends Are Metalheads a couple of times maybe and say thanks for coming. But that's not who we are. We don't, we
Right.
don't like to live on what we've done. What we've done is amazing, and we always give the tip of the cap to it, but it's about what we're doing and what we continue to do. So I'm just glad that people like our new record. That's it, you know. And that just makes the year worth of waiting for it to come out that much. And actually, it's about 2 years worth of waiting, because there was a year writing before we recorded it too, you
Mm.
know. So it's that makes it all worth it to me. That's why we continue to do this stuff, you know, is to put something out to the world to hopefully make it.
Yeah. Just look at, like the growth you've had and not like the past, like mistakes and stuff. Yeah.
You know, it's good to look at your past. It is good to, because that keeps you grounded. it's good to know where you've done things right, and it's also equally as important to know where you've done things wrong, because you don't want to do those anymore. You know, that's called growth. Not doing the same thing that's bad, doing the good, that's growth. That's growing as a person. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard for people. It's really hard for people, you know. So you two are, I say it to you two because you're still kids, you know, and please don't take that as offense, please. I see you two and I'm like, yeah, future, good future. You two are the future that I'm pleased to see, you know. So good. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, JR, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
No,
Thank you. Thank you for a part 2. Maybe you'll be
Yeah.
our for part 3 too. Who knows? Who knows?
Next record. Next record.
Next record.
The next, yeah, part 3. By the next, if we keep going on our current album release cycle, you guys will be in college by the time we do our next record. So we may have to pick up the pace on that. So, but thank you guys for having me on your podcast for a second time. I enjoyed it just as much this time as the last time. So thank you, and I hope we do it again.
No problem. I do too.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Stay safe.
You
Stay
guys
safe.
too.
Happy
Okay.
holidays.
You guys have a nice Christmas or Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. And
Thank you.
I hope you get
too.
everything you guys want. All right. Thanks again. I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.